girl boss, high value woman, clean girl aesthetic, healed woman. These identities can be inspiring, but they often become prescriptive. We feel like we have to fit into these labels to feel accepted in society. Many of us feel pressured to embody all of these different labels at once. You feel obligated to be the boss woman, the soft girl, the academic weapon. It's too much and it leaves us feeling overwhelmed and often causes us to not even reach the goals that we truly desire. That's why it's important to define your own version of fulfillment and success. You don't need to be an aesthetic, you need to be aligned with your values, with your goals, and with your future life. This is your sign to rebrand your life in the last 6 months of 2025. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to my channel. I literally can't believe we're already in July. July is basically over, and that leaves us with one more month of summer and then it's back to the grind. Before we know it, it's already going to be 2026. Like, these 6 months have flown by. I don't know if it's just me because I've gone through so many different things. Maybe that's why it feels like it's gone by super fast. Everything has just been a blur. I definitely know that right now I need to refocus and realign. So I'm inviting you to do the same. If you don't feel completely happy with who you are, then a mid year rebrand is just what you need. If you're feeling mental discomfort because your behaviors aren't aligning with the attitudes, especially the ones that you had set at the beginning of the year for your New Year's resolutions, then you're going to want to reduce this discomfort by either changing your standards or changing your behaviors. In psychology, there is something called the self awareness theory. It states that there are two outcomes which can occur after being made aware of the self. So either you change your behaviors or you withdraw from self awareness. Now, many people are guilty of withdrawing from self awareness, this second outcome. These withdrawals are done by either avoiding what has been made aware to you or numbing it with things like substances, quick dopamine, doom scrolling. We're all guilty of it. So if you find that once light has been shed on something that you're not too happy about, or maybe a negative trait, a negative habit of yours, and you know you need to improve on that, but you tend to just brush it off or find other ways to cope, then it's time you come to terms with these realizations and take action. So, the first thing you're going to do on this rebrand is brainstorm a list of your ideal identity. What roles do you wish to embody? And what stops you from considering yourself under those labels of those roles? So, write down who you want to be and how you define those labels. For example, a good Muslim. For me, that would mean praying on time, doing my dhikr, having patience, not gossiping. So, those are the terms that I would need to embody in order for me to feel as though I fit under that label and to not feel the discomfort that I'm not reaching that identity. Another example is a good student. The terms for that could be being organized with my time, putting my 100% effort into my assignments, studying in advance. Another identity could be a good daughter. The terms for that might be not giving attitude, being respectful, keeping the house clean, and prioritizing time for my family. And the last example I'm going to give is being an entrepreneur. The terms for that could be building my brand, marketing, gaining sales, and having a supportive community. So, in my mind, these are the boxes that I need to check off in order to feel like I align with those identities. Now that you know what identities you'd like to embody, let's figure out how you're going to check those boxes. Now, the juicy part, your 2025 rebrand game plan. First, identify weak points. What habits do you find challenging to upkeep? Because I know that for me, sometimes I'll start a habit for a while and maybe for a few weeks I'll be consistent with it or a few days. And then after a while, I'll just go back into my comfort zone and completely abandon the habit. What bad habits are you in a cycle of falling into? What behaviors do you dislike about yourself? And what aspects of your life do you find you constantly compare to others? What makes you feel jealous, envious, or triggered when you see other people have it and you don't? Because remember, those feelings only arise due to your own insecurity. Next is to change your environment. Now, when people think of changing their environment, they often think a grand scheme, going to a different city, a different country, moving homes. But sometimes, even myself, I forget that we have so many opportunities in close reach to us, in close proximity. So, yes, we should think big. However, we shouldn't take advantage of all the other opportunities that we have around us. So, a small step to changing your environment could look like going to a different cafe, taking a different route for a walk, trying a new activity, indulging in new hobbies, and just getting out of your comfort zone. Changing your environment can make immense changes to your life. If we look at how you're made up psychologically, through nature and nurture, your biological makeup is only one component, but your environment and experiences also contribute to your becoming. When you experience new people, places, or things, your days feel less repetitive, which also makes you feel as though time is slowing down. Changing routine takes your brain off autopilot, and it actually boosts the formation of connections in your brain, neuroplasticity. If you don't want your neurons to die with age, then you need to experience new things. You need to challenge your brain to keep those connections strong and to form new ones. Because if you fail to challenge your brain, especially as an adult, your neural connections may weaken. So just remember, getting out of your comfort zone is the driving force for change. Next is to implement self reflection. Journaling is an amazing way to change the trajectory of your life. We do not realize the importance of knowing ourselves. We are expecting our lives to change, our environments to change, our jobs to change, and our habits to change, but we don't even know ourselves. We don't know why we are the way we are, what causes our behaviors. How can we navigate our lives and ourselves if we don't even know ourselves deeply? I also feel like this is why a lot of people tend to project or suppress. It's because they don't actually know themselves. And once you start to do the reflection and recognize your behaviors, your triggers, then you start to gain a deeper sense of self and understand your self concept a lot better. And with this valuable knowledge, you can then create goals and steps that will actually work for you based on your experiences and the way that your mind is wired. Traits such as self discipline can only be implemented if you know yourself to a certain degree. You're going to keep falling back into the same cycle of habits if your mind is staying the same, and if your understanding of yourself and your mind is staying the same. The reason you continue to get stuck in the same cycle when you start a new habit for a while, but it slowly fades, it's due to the fact that you don't understand the purpose behind your actions. If you want to understand the purpose behind both your good and bad actions, you must reflect and understand the depth on how you became the person you are today, the traits, preferences, strengths, and weaknesses. Personally, if I hadn't reflected on what triggers me, I wouldn't know the root cause of my anxiety, of my anger, and my desires. This would leave me feeling stuck and like I can't get past my emotions. While we're on the topic of journaling and self reflection, I just wanted to mention that I did recently start the journal club. And it is something that my friends and I have always done. We sit down, we reflect on those prompts, and then we actually share with each other a little bit of our own reflection. Since doing that with my friends has honestly changed my life so much and has been such a great outlet, I decided that there's so many other girls out there who also need an outlet like this and would love to connect with women who have the same mindset as them. So it is a great way to better understand yourself and to take that next step on your journey of becoming the best version of yourself. So the link is in the bio if you guys want to join that. I would love to have you there. This is your personal invite. Now, leading into the next step on the rebrand is to find a hobby, whether it's a fitness class, a sports team, a book club, a creative class, or a faith based circle. Community offers support, accountability, and inspiration. Ever since I started to involve myself in the community and in different activities, I've honestly felt a great shift internally. I feel like I align with the person that I want to be. And it does give me a sense of fulfillment, like I'm on the right path and I'm doing things that resonate with my purpose. Hobbies and pastimes allow you to build an identity outside of your obligations, such as work and your family. And as an eldest daughter, my family definitely does consume me in both good and bad ways. So I feel like taking the time to do things just for myself and to indulge in communities that align with my internal values, it makes me feel like I have a purpose. And again, it takes you off that autopilot mode. It replaces that numbing behavior mentioned in the self awareness theory. The next step in the game plan is to create small, attainable steps. Now, you have to be honest with yourself when setting goals. I know on social media, especially, we see people's end goal. We see their accomplishments, their success in very great large numbers and in physical material items. But we have to recognize the value in small steps. When you achieve these small steps, it gives you confidence and shows your brain that you can do it. So, with these small steps, you're slowly and slowly going to get up to that bigger goal of yours. This also leads into staying consistent. As you know, I'm someone who values consistency over perfection any day. I would rather show up with my bare minimum than not show up at all. So that could look like in the gym. If I only have 30 minutes, I'm going to the gym, doing the Stairmaster for 30 minutes, or hitting a really quick arm workout, okay? Because I definitely can't do leg day in 30 minutes. Even if I feel like, what's the point? Just go. Because it's showing you that you can do it. And then the next time, you'll probably have more time and you know you can do it. Or when it comes to praying, maybe I missed a prayer and I feel like it's too late. I'm tired now. I just want to go to bed. Just do it. Just pray the prayer. Show yourself that you can do it. Show up with whatever energy level you have, because it's better than not showing up at all. And the same goes for when you fall into bad habits. If you fall back into something that you had done before, after a period of not falling into that habit, you've shown yourself once that you were able to get out of it. So you know that you can do it again. What's stopping you? It's your comfort zone that's stopping you. So just try again and try with whatever energy level that you have. Remember that you always have the power to change your life at any moment. You can be better at any point. And I feel like this is something that even I forget. If you are bored or unhappy with who you are or where you're at, what's stopping you from changing? Because this is your life. You are the artist, the creator of your life, and you can make it whatever you want it to be. But we just tend to forget this. I forget it all the time. We get caught up in our routine of the expectations that our family and friends have on us, and we forget what we truly want. We forget those big goals that we had once dreamt of. But I'm here to remind you that you are not limited to this box that you're in. God is the most powerful. He has created everything, and He can create anything in the snap of a finger. So ask Him for those big dreams that you had once dreamt of. Now, something that I suggest is to track the new version of you. I even do this with my prayers. I have a little prayer journal, and I like to write down all of the little signs that God is there listening to me and all the little things that He has granted for me, the little blessings and the big blessings, because it reminds me that He is listening to me. So you can also do this with your progress and your goals. Track the embodiment, track the subtle shifts, the days you responded with grace, the moments that you didn't give up, and those moments that you were really proud of yourself for how you reacted and how you showed up. The mornings you showed up for yourself, even when you felt low, you're slowly becoming the woman that you prayed to be. I see it, but you'll never see it if you don't pause and acknowledge. Acknowledge your presence on this journey. You don't need a 180 transformation overnight. You just need proof that you're making progress and being consistent with your small, attainable goals. If there's anything life changing that I've learned from watching my favorite YouTuber, Bahja Abdi, it is the value of an evidence portfolio. Show yourself what you've accomplished, big or small. It could be something just on the day to day, or maybe it's something that took you a few weeks or months to accomplish. When you take intentional time to identify your progress, you show your brain that what you thought was difficult was achievable and that you are capable. So just keep in mind, your rebrand doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be rooted in that quiet commitment, finding what excites you, creating something that expresses you, and surrounding yourself with people that challenge and elevate you. Now, I also want to talk about discipline and romanticizing it. Discipline isn't always aesthetic, but the results are. Waking up early to pray, pushing through a journal prompt instead of doom scrolling, doing the hard thing when no one's watching or cheering you on. This is the part of the rebrand that no one talks about. Those mentors that you have online that you see all of their great success, you didn't see this part of their life, their challenges that they had to overcome. The part that wasn't cute or easy or aesthetic or Instagrammable, but it was necessary on the journey of becoming. Just because discipline is hard doesn't mean you can't romanticize it. So I have a few things that I like to do to trick my brain into thinking disciplined choices are fun. The first is something that I implemented a few months ago, which has been really fun, and it's turning my to-do list into a monthly vision board. Every month, I create a Pinterest board and I just pin all of these inspiration pics, recipes I want to try, some images that really show my goals, activities I'd like to try. Then I take those pictures into Canva and I make a cute little vision board, which I set as my iPad wallpaper. So I'm constantly reminded and I can constantly see what I'm working towards and what my purpose is for the month. Another way I like to romanticize disciplined actions is by dressing up and going to a cute cafe to get work done. The process becomes more fun when I give myself a greater purpose. By dressing up, feeling put together, immersing myself in a different environment, and just locking in. And honestly, getting a little iced matcha latte on the side definitely helps as well. It feels like a reward. So let's redefine productivity. Remember that not every day needs to look like the hustle culture side of TikTok. The small shifts are going to create a foundation for a lifetime. So just constantly remind yourself of your intention and your purpose. Your small intentional actions will compound over time. Redefine success like this: resting when you need to equals productive. Saying no to stay in alignment equals productive. Doing one small thing for your future self equals productive. Now, you've probably heard the advice, don't compare yourself to others. And while I get the intention behind that saying, I have to disagree. Comparison is a natural part of how we process the world, but the key is how we use it. There are two types of comparison: upward and downward. And if you're serious about rebranding your life, then both are necessary. Here's why. Upward comparison is when you compare yourself to those above you. You look at someone who's ahead of you, somebody who's already embodying the identity that you're working towards. At first, it might sting a bit. You might feel behind, unqualified, or even a little bit invisible. But you have to pause and reframe. Let their journey motivate you. Let their consistency remind you what's possible. The version of them that you admire wasn't built overnight, it wasn't magic. It was a mindset, discipline, and aligned action that got them there, which means that you can also get there too. So use it as a blueprint, not a reason to spiral. Ask yourself these questions: what habits do they have that I can start implementing? And what energy do they move with that I can step into? Don't envy the lifestyle, study it. Then build your own version. Next, we have downward comparison, which is when you compare to something less than. Now, downward comparison isn't about looking down on other people, it's about looking back at where you used to be and realizing how extremely blessed you are to be in the position that you're in. Sometimes gratitude isn't about having more, it's about realizing you already have a lot to be grateful for. And on this journey of becoming, in this rushed life that we live, we tend to forget all of these blessings that we already have. And that lack of gratitude and acknowledgement can honestly be blocking our blessings. It also humbles you and grounds you. It reminds you that growth takes time, so there's no need to rush or shame yourself. So here we are, halfway through 2025, and maybe you've changed, maybe you've grown, or maybe you've drifted further from who you wanted to become. But the most important thing is that you're not stuck. You're never stuck. A mid year rebrand isn't about throwing everything away and starting from scratch, it's about realigning and re identifying. Remind yourself of the vision that you had in January and decide that you still deserve to see that through. Remember that it's okay if you've fallen off. You don't need to shame yourself. Things happen. But just taking this step proves that you know your purpose and you're going to get somewhere. Now it's time to come back home to yourself, to upgrade your standards, and to reintroduce yourself to the world as the woman you're becoming. Becoming her isn't one big decision, it's 1,000 small ones. So start small, start soft, but start now. Your future self is waiting, and she's already proud of you for trying. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so that I know you guys want to see more content. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode. I really missed you guys, and I'll be back next week. So click all those buttons below. Thanks for watching. Bye.